Since 2010, the world of Gru and his many minions has provided many laughs, and now we have what is technically the sixth movie in the franchise, Despicable Me 4. Before I talk about this newest sequel, I feel I should briefly go over my thoughts on the other films. I enjoyed the first two films, and seeing Gru's progression from villain to hero provided a decent amount of amusement. I also like the two Minions movies, as there's something about the chaotic energy of those wacky yellow Twinkies I find genuinely funny. Yes, I'm a fan of the Minions and the hilarious gibberish speak. Despicable Me 3, I was less fond of. Despite a great villain, it was not as funny as the other entries, and had a few subplots too many. So with that quick overview of my opinion on the franchise out of the way, what do I think of Despicable Me 4? I personally found this to be another underwhelming sequel, not that it did not have its moments. I felt the movie started with promise as Gru and his family go into a protection program when a villain escapes and seeks revenge on him. There are some funny bits with the Minions and the family dealing with this sudden change in environment. There's also humor gained out of Gru's newborn son having trouble taking a liking to him. The bouncy, colorful animation, as luminous strength illumination, remains, and I've always had a fondness for the character designs in the Despicable Me movies, which have not been afraid to look exaggerated. They've always called to mind European comic books, which makes sense since these films are animated in Paris. Chris Renell directs the action scenes with the needed pop as the camera flies through the scene. The film moves at a decent clip, and I was never bored while watching Despicable Me 4. So why did I end up underwhelmed by the experience? Well, a major issue I had with the movie is it seemed to have too much going on. The film seems to branch off into a million subplots as it jumps between the various characters and tries to give each of them something to do. It felt like the filmmakers had a lot of ideas and threw them in, but each subplot is disappointingly underdeveloped. The main story should be Gru dealing with the lead villain Maxine Lamau, but he gets roped into this other story involving a young aspiring villainess. In fact, anytime I cut back to Maxine, I had a thought of, alright, you're here too. While him being able to control cockroaches and turn people into them is promise, they don't do a whole lot with that. A group of minions are turned into superheroes, which the movie makes you think will be important. There is a somewhat amusing sequence where they try to save a city, which plays into the chaotic nature of the minions I like so much. But that's one of the few major sequences we get with these superpowered versions. Lucy is one of my favorite characters in the franchise, and her initial scenes and interactions with Gru are funny. But then she's moved over to the side, and they don't do a lot of her own storyline of pretending to be a hairdresser. Even though they played important roles in the first two movies and were pivotal to Gru's development, it feels like the orphan girls have mostly served that purpose now, and they don't seem to know what to do with them here. A thought I even had while watching Despicable Me 4 is how long events have progressed in the movie's universe, as the girls have only slightly aged since Gru first met them. 1 year, 2 years. I wonder if a future sequel will jump ahead and show the girls actually aging, because that has the potential for more ideas and more ways to use them. The comedic sequences are okay, but I don't recall a moment that elicited more than a mild chuckle. I was more so admiring the animation and the designs than the actual jokes. Overall, I just felt there was too much going on, and I wish the filmmakers had picked a plotline or two instead of trying to cram so much into this. The first two had a simplicity to them that worked and knew when to focus on Gru, the girls, the villain, and the minions. And that's been missing in the third and fourth films. Although speaking of the third, the events in that movie are strangely inconsequential. I don't even recall Gru's long-lost brother getting a mention here, despite being a major part of the last film. Not that I'm asking this movie to include more characters, I just thought that was interesting. Something I've wondered, along with several other people, is what they would do with Dr. Nefario after the stories about Russell Brand came out. Well, Nefario is briefly in the movie, and he does have a few lines, but it's obviously not Brand saying them. However, unless I missed it, the credits did not reveal who does Nefario's voice, with whoever the actor is listed under additional voices instead. In the end, I felt Despicable Me 4 did not do too many interesting things with the characters, and the story was largely unfocused. At this point, I wonder if there's even a new place to take Gru, but I guess we'll see what happens if or when Illumination produces another one.